When India trades with Russia, America pays the price, and I'm here to make sure they pay too. That's the short version of why Donald Trump just scrapped a trade deal with India and slapped them with tariffs as high as 50%. And if that wasn't enough, he's now rolling out sweeping global tariffs that could hit Canada, Europe, and pretty much anyone who sells stuff to the US. The question is, will this bring jobs back or just bring prices up? Let's find out. Today we're doing a deep dive into Trump's latest economic power play, canceling a high-profile trade agreement with India, punishing them for buying oil from Russia, and triggering what some experts are calling a global tariff war on steroids. To keep it fair and objective, I'm asking ChatGPT to fact-check Trump's claims about why this is the best deal for America ever. And then, in part 2, we'll have AI predict what's actually going to happen next if these tariffs stick. Spoiler alert, the outcome may not be what Trump is promising. Before we jump in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Trumpology AI so you don't miss our weekly breakdowns of Trump's biggest moves, the ones that make headlines and the ones that slip under the radar. Gather all the latest info on the Donald Trump canceling the proposed trade deal with India and instead imposing tariffs of up to 50%. So you're fully up to date, and then I'll start asking my questions. Don't write anything yet. Just let me know when you're ready. Be clear, straightforward, totally unbiased. Call a spade, no spin, no fluff, no sugarcoating, no links, no headlines, no headers, and always give your own take on whatever I ask. Now, I want you to analyze and break down everything about Donald Trump canceling the proposed trade deal with India and instead imposing tariffs of up to 50%. Go deep into the political and legal angles. Could this move expose him to legal or political trouble? Or is it simply Trump executing his typical deal-breaker political style? Then fact-check Trump's claims, and after that, predict what's actually going to happen next if these tariffs stick. I want you to make an educated guess based on everything you know. Be as detailed as possible, around 1,000 words, your thoughts, your analysis, your honest take. No headers. I'll be blunt. This is both a political sledgehammer and a legal landmine. Here's the clean, no-spin read. Fact first. The White House has issued executive action that layers a new 25% penalty tariff on top of earlier reciprocal tariffs, so the headline effective burden on many Indian imports can reach roughly 50%, and the administration explicitly tied that penalty to India's ongoing purchases of Russian oil. The White House text and fact sheet make that link and set the mechanics and timing. Why this happened, in plain terms, the president decided the trade deal on the table wasn't worth keeping if New Delhi continued buying discounted Russian oil, and he also framed the move as forcing India to open markets or make concessions on tariffs. That political calculus, weaponized trade to change geopolitical behavior, is intentional. Reporting shows the tariff hike followed frustration in Washington that the bilateral deal wouldn't produce the concessions the administration wanted. The tariff is the lever chosen to force movement. Legal reality check. The administration is not operating in a legal vacuum, and it knows that. The executive orders rely on emergency and national security statutes, notably the International Emergency Economic Powers Act and other presidential authorities, and prior reciprocal tariff memorandum the administration has been using. But federal judges are already signaling real skepticism about whether the president can deploy those authorities to impose sweeping peacetime trade tariffs without clearer congressional authorization. Multiple lawsuits are in play, and appellate judges have openly questioned the administration's legal theory. That's not a hypothetical, it's an active judicial front that could narrow, delay, or block the measures. Political fallout and real-world consequences. New Delhi isn't rolling over. There are already practical ripples. India has paused planned U.S. arms purchases and is publicly resisting, and Indian leaders are framing the move as unacceptable pressure on their domestic farmers and industry. That's exactly the point of the tariffs, to hurt politically salient constituencies, but it also converts a transactional trade spat into a strategic rupture with a partner the U.S. has leaned on for years. Expect India to accelerate diversification of its markets, redirect exports, and retaliate diplomatically or economically in targeted ways. Reuters reporting on immediate Indian responses makes the pause in defense deals and political pushback clear. Now the "could this get him into trouble" part, separated but short. Legally, yes. There's a strong path to trouble in the courts. The administration's statutory reliance is defensible in narrow cases, used at scale and pegged to broad geopolitical aims, It looks like a large executive branch expansion into what Congress normally governs, tariffs and trade policy. Expect injunctions, appeals, and possibly a Supreme Court showdown if the administration pushes enforcement while losing lower court battles. The legal risk is real and immediate, not speculative. Politically, it's complicated. Domestically, the move will play well to factions that like tough unilateral action, and the president can claim he's protecting American workers or punishing a partner that's, in his telling, funding an adversary. But there are predictable political costs. U.S. importers, manufacturers, and retailers will see higher costs. Supply chains are already fragile. Price-sensitive voters will notice. Allies who depend on seamless U.S. cooperation will be wary. Among foreign policy elites and many congressional actors, this approach is seen as arbitrary and transactional, which corrodes long-term strategic trust. The Financial Times and other outlets have framed the pattern as turning tariffs into diplomatic shakedowns. The short-term political upside may be overshadowed by long-term strategic losses. Fact-checking the president's key claims quickly and directly. Claim: these tariffs will force India to stop buying Russian oil and isolate Moscow. Reality: tariffs raise the economic stakes for India's exporters to the U.S., but they don't directly change India's energy calculus. India buys Russian oil because of price and energy security reasons. Tariffs on Indian exports shift pain toward Indian producers and could influence political decisions indirectly, but there's no mechanical guarantee India will stop buying oil. Claim: I have the legal authority to do this. Reality: the administration cites emergency authorities and reciprocal tariff memos, but courts are already skeptical. That legal footing is contestable and may not hold under sustained judicial scrutiny. Claim: this will be economically painless for Americans. Reality: higher tariffs almost always mean higher prices or disrupted supply chains for U.S. businesses and consumers. Some U.S. sectors and workers in import-competing industries may benefit, but the net impact is mixed and probably negative for parts of the U.S. economy. Use of tariffs as diplomatic blackmail comes with economic collateral damage. See the White House EO text for the administration's stated rationale and the court coverage for how judges see the legal arguments. What's likely to happen next if the tariffs stick? Shortlist, with blunt probabilities and rationale. Immediate legal fights that delay enforcement or force judicial narrowing. 60 to 80% chance. Courts are already engaged and likely to issue stays or tailored remedies. Diplomatic escalation and a pause or slowdown in strategic cooperation. Arms deals, intelligence sharing frictions, less political goodwill. 70% chance. India has already signaled pushback. WTO, or international dispute filings from India. Probable, but remedies will be slow and constrained by the U.S. posture toward the WTO's enforcement mechanisms. The legal route exists, even if it's imperfect. Political theater at home. The move will energize the political base and infuriate affected business lobbies and coalition partners. That may help or hurt the president politically, depending on how sharply consumer prices move and whether allied Republicans are useful. The net political risk is medium and asymmetric. More damage in the medium term than immediate collapse. My take, plain and final: this is classic deal-maker posture. Use an audacious, unilateral economic penalty to force bargaining leverage. It's effective as a headline and can terrify an opponent into quick concessions, but at scale and against a major strategic partner, it's reckless. It hands the judiciary a real constitutional test. It damages long-term strategic trust, and it creates predictable economic blowback for both countries and U.S. companies. If the administration wanted a surgical, legally robust response, it would have built a narrower, congressionally backed coalition or targeted sanctions tied to clear statutory authority. Instead, this is broad, politically driven coercion that can work as politics. It's weak as stable governance or international strategy, and it's likely to produce litigation, diplomatic bruising, and economic headaches before it produces any genuine, durable policy change in New Delhi. So is this the start of a new American trade revolution? Or just another round of tariff roulette? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and check out our next video. Click right here. I'll see you over there.